Okay, so for this video, we are going to learn how to take a non-secure website and make sure that all the links and content are pointing to a secure URL and that we don't get any of those mixed contents or errors or warnings in the browser. And so one of the plugins I like to do to use to change this is called Velvet Blue URLs. But you'll see it fell here in the video because I had already changed all those links in the database beforehand, and so it's usually a good way to check and update all your posts and pages and content that way. And for me, in this case, it didn't work, so you gotta see me fail there. But we also check the theme options, and so I fast forward through some of those sections as I was clicking through each one to identify where those links were coming from. And then I had to search the database and then a little bit of the code to identify some of the other links that were coming from various areas. So hopefully this video can give you some ideas of where you can look and how you can make sure that your website is not serving mixed content and where to kind of look for those broken links. So yeah, enjoy. All right, so if you saw one of the last videos about how we set up analytics, you noticed that we had some issues with HTTPS and that a site that was currently not secure that is now secure, and we've got some assets that have mixed content. So how do we go about fixing that? So one of the things that I like to do is I use this plugin called Velvet Blue URLs. And so if we go over here to Tools and Update URLs, that's the link to it. And what we do, what's one of the very first things I do is I take the URL that we're looking for, and that's the new URL. And then we're going to find the old URL. What we want to do is we want to find anything that's HTTP and search everywhere and replace it with HTTPS, because this URL looks like it was absolute, and we need to replace those. So I usually just check all of these, and let's just see if we can find anything, any low-hanging fruit that we can quickly update. Okay, so looks like we've got a problem with database stuff, and this is usually caused by a plugin, but it doesn't look like it updated anything. Okay, so what that means is now we've got to go through and either manually check the database. So let's go look for there next. Okay, so I searched the database, and rather than show that in a video just because of security and such, I could show you exactly what I look for, but I just searched for HTTP : and then the slashes, and I found that a lot of those URLs were coming from the theme and the theme options. So let's go take a look there. So we've got theme options, and all right, looks like that one's changed correctly. Okay, so after digging through all the different customizer settings, I did find the one in the footer here where it looks like it's linking to some old domain that doesn't exist. So we no longer need or want that. So we're actually just going to wipe this whole thing out. Okay, so after checking through the theme options, sometimes you can find stuff there, sometimes not. I'm not super familiar with this Divi theme, but I know it's used everywhere. But I was looking here in the source code to try to figure out where else the HTTP was being called from, and I noticed it looks like we've got this footer widget. So that kind of tipped me off to go, oh yeah, I need to go check the widgets. So let's go do that right now. So went in here, let's see, go Appearance, Widgets, and here's footer area 1. So let's just go check through these and see if we can find what we're looking for. And right here it is. So one thing you can do, you can completely remove the old URL, but in this case, since it was already absolute, we'll just add on the S there and save that, and that should fix one of the errors. So let's look here, we've got one error, refresh. Actually, sorry, that won't fix this error, but that will fix one of the HTTP calls. So, okay, looks like we got rid of one of them, and now we need to go find where this is being called from. And I'm guessing it's this right down here as well. Yep, and we no longer want that. Now that's kind of confusing because I thought we wiped that out in the customizer, but maybe it was in two places and no longer being used in the customizer area. So sometimes that's what it takes, is just digging through all this stuff. Yep, so here it is, 5 stars. Here's the error. We no longer want probably any of this because I don't know what the stars are, and I don't really know what that is either. And we could investigate further and fix that or provide a link to that, but in this case, let's just get it cleaned up and we can add that back later when we know what it needs to go to. So wipe that out, hit save, come back here and refresh, and now we should be seeing some more of those problems go away. Now we're at 8. And we still have that mixed content. Ah, that's the favicon. So we need to go find where that's located. And that one could be a bit trickier. Yeah, we'll look in, I'll go dig for this and then I'll show you where we found that. Okay, so after just a few minutes here of some investigation work, I couldn't find anything that I knew of in the WordPress admin. So what I did is I started searching in the code. So I looked for the favicon and I found this custom function here that basically goes and looks for the option in WordPress, and it just does a check and it just says, hey, you know, as long as we're on a certain version of WordPress, do we have this icon? And if we do, go ahead and echo out this. So I was like, well, it's definitely doing that. Let's go verify in the code. So I came here, searched for it, and sure enough, so that's where we're echoing out this bad link, essentially. So now we need to go and update this icon to something else and get the proper image to be replaced of this old URL. So it's going to be somewhere in the options, so I'll let you know once I find that. So I couldn't find anything specifically to the theme, but I do know that WordPress by default has something called the site identity. So let's show you where that's at. So by default, when you come right to the customizer, you have general settings, and under that you have site identity, and that's where you can set your favicon. And it's really slick. As long as you provide a nice image that's a good square image, then you can select that and kind of crop it, and then it creates all the different sizes that you need, rather than have to go to some other site and manually drop something in, and then it makes all the sizes, and then you copy all that code and put it in there. This WordPress does all that for you, so it makes it really nice. But yeah, setting that definitely did clear that error and the old URL that it was associated with. So now we no longer have that problem. Everything seems to be secure, and it looks like we've just got some issues with some map files and other stuff related to Chrome. This jQuery issue we could look into. I bet it's coming from the theme or something WordPress related. But yeah, other than that, I think that cleaned it up pretty well. I think we've fixed all the broken images and HTTPS issues. So hopefully that gave you kind of like a high level overview of maybe how and what to look for. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, cool. Later.